We're going to get you through the January blues with another version of Tost N Jam. Tost N Jam is presented by Valley City State University, broadcast from the Rhodes Science Center. I'm Tim Ost, been Toast for a long time now. And here's Paul McDonald. He's Jam. I don't know how long for Jam.
Well, I would say, I just came up with it when we started this,
I know.
really. But I've been, PM Preserves was my nickname growing up by my great uncles. So, I mean, that's where I came up with the Jam part. So.
And you've used PM quite a few times.
Oh, yeah, I have. Actually.
Yeah. Our guest today is Matt Fetsch from the North Dakota High School Activities Association. Matt, always good to have you along.
Hey, appreciate it. Good to see you.
And before we get to Matt, let's kind of catch up on the world of sports. Paul McDonald.
Highlander girls, they won all 3 games here in the last week, beating Wahpeton, Kindred, and Edgeley Cullen Montpelier. That was even they won by 17. The lead never got to double figures. It got to double figures once early, and then the Rebels just kind of came back a little bit. Kevin Strobel now, him and Roy Anstey, I think, flip-flopped. Though Roy was the girls' coach and Kevin was the boys. Now they flip-flopped because they each have young'uns coming up, and so they're coaching their kids, their last kids. But 63-46, the Highlanders won over the Rebels. In the game against Kindred, Katie Burchell, 37 points, 12 rebounds.
That was a nice win for them.
That was a big win. On the road, they'd never beaten Kindred in Kindred. In the time that since the 3-class system came, they've had overtime loss. They've had blown out. They have not beaten them there. So that was a big win for them on the road. They will be at Lisbon here on Thursday. Highlander boys, they lost at Wahpeton, and they went up to Devil's Lake to the shootout, lost to Bottineau, and then lost 65-63 to Rugby. That was a good game. They had a chance. But Rugby they had a couple of guys that were working on the inside. They had one kid that was Burnt, I believe was the name, Brody Burnt, that was kind of a menace inside with block shots, and so they were having some issues inside. Lost by 2. They're at Kindred tonight, and then they'll play at Devil's Lake on Thursday. Highlander boys wrestling, couple of dual wins over Napoleon Gackle-Streeter and Linton this week. There and then at the Storhaug this past week in the boys' tournament up in Lisbon, Simon Trapp, he's really been coming on. I think 8th or 9th grader Simon is, took 3rd at 107. Owen Hunt lost in the heavyweights and took 2nd in the heavyweight division, lost to a kid by the name of Seth Irie, Ellendale Edgeley Cullum.
Irie, that's a familiar name.
Yeah, and he lost to him by fall in the early in the first period. They're at a quadrangular tonight, Hillsborough, Central Valley, Grafton, Valley City, and Fertile Beltrami. The girls, they split. They were supposed to play South Border, and I did not see a score, and I reached out to Coach Tim Miller, and he hasn't gotten back to me. They were supposed to wrestle South Border in this quadrangular. They lost to Lisbon, 45-27, then beat Fargo, 42-30, and South Border's pretty good. And that's a good wrestling area down there in Ashley Wishick.
Those German wrestlers are good.
Boys and girls. And they're at the Belle of the Brawl this weekend in Castleton, the Highlander girls. And then it's regional time. February 7th is team duels. And then the 13th and 14th, individual duels, regionals, which, of course, will be right here in Valley City at the Hack. The girls on Friday the 13th, and the boys on Valentine's Day on the 14th. Quick update on Highlander basketball. They were in Moorhead at Concordia College
VCSU?
on Saturday.
VCSU, right?
Yep, VCSU. Oh,
yeah.
I meant VCSU. Thank you. I'm old.
I don't like to correct you, but
no, that's all right. You got to because everybody else does.
It might have been a replay of what you just said.
But Viking basketball, the Viking men and women came up with wins at Concordia, 100-57. The women beat Mayville. First time in the research I did that the Viking women have scored 100 in a conference game. Beating Mayville State 157. Every single player on the roster for the Vikings played and scored in that one. So they liked Copperville.
That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Men won 78-72 in their game against Mayville State. In that game, Caleb Larson, he got 21 points and eclipsed 1,000 for his career in basketball. This in collegiate basketball, and Player of the Week in the Frontier Conference this week for Caleb Kidd out of West Fargo.
Hey.
And so Caleb got the Player of the Week. Now here's what's going on this week with the moving parts. The Vikings will be in Wahpeton at North Dakota State College of Science on Friday to play Dakota State. That is 5 and 7. Watch for a release as far as some other information on VCSUVikings.com and on our social media pages. Then Saturday they play Bellevue at 3 and 5. That will be back at Concordia College in Moorhead. So the Vikings on the move again this weekend. I thought about I talked to a couple of people. Coach Mack said maybe we should change our names to the VCSU Nomads or the VCSU Gypsies because we've been pretty successful with
Cobber
this,
Vikings.
Cobber Vikings. And so anyway, this weekend again at WAP Science at the Ed Weary Arena on Friday night, 5 and 7 against Dakota State. And then Saturday, they will be back in Moorhead at Concordia College, 3 and 5 against Bellevue. Track is up at UND. The entire team will be up at UND for the Fighting Hawks indoor meet this weekend. And they're getting close, too, to wrapping up their regular season here. And indoor track, end of February is when the Frontier Conference will be in Brookings for the indoor track meet.
Maybe they'll be outside 30s and 40s maybe next week. Huh?
Oh, I know the baseball and softballers are looking forward to that. But so that's an update on what's going on in local sports.
Okay. Toast and Jam can be found where? Give us the lowdown again.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also the VCSU YouTube page. You can find us on social media as well. You can also find us on tostandjam.com, our website that we have there. But again, every time you go there, make sure you subscribe. No matter where you find it, make sure you subscribe to that link on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because then you will get alerted when a new episode drops.
And my goodness, you don't want to miss an episode.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Okay, Super Bowl 60 is set. Again, Matt, you can jump in anytime, okay? Seattle, New England. They played each other in Super Bowl 49 in 2015, I believe. New England won that 28-24. Remember how that game ended? Oh, yeah, I think a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. That was in Glendale, Arizona. Seattle had a 24-14 lead going into the fourth quarter. Tom Brady and company, they put on 2 touchdowns. They go ahead 28-24. And then Seattle responds. They get her down to the 1-yard line. What happens? What happened? Second and goal. Russell Wilson does the no-no through the interception, and the Patriots win. How many Super Bowls for the Patriots, by the way?
This is their 12th.
I know, but how many wins?
6, I believe.
I was going to say 7, but
6 or 7, yeah.
6. Yeah. Pittsburgh and New England both with 6.
Okay, 6.
Interesting,
all
huh?
right.
And that would have been 2 Super Bowl wins in a row for Seattle, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But they only have 1, so oops. That was an oops. Okay. Hey, you're listening to Toast and Jam. Let's get our guest in here, Matt Fetsch, High School Activities Association. Matt, how many years now at the High School Association? How many years?
I was thinking about that on the drive over in case I got asked. But in year 16 here.
What?
At the state office in Valley City, and year 12 as executive director. So
wow.
Longest I've been able to hold down a job.
That's usually what radio guys say. 16 is unusual for radio people too. Let's talk about the hottest sport, I should say, in North Dakota, and that's girls wrestling. Wow, where did that come from?
Yeah, it really has exploded here the last few years, and there were a few states that started their own standalone girls wrestling separate from the boys just a few years prior to North Dakota, and just using their metrics, we kind of anticipated the explosion we've had here. I wouldn't say it's plateauing. I mean, it's slowed a little, but mathematically it couldn't grow as fast as it was forever. But just last week, my board of directors was in, and they made the decision next year there'll be a separate A and B division for boys and girls wrestling, and just doesn't happen very often. I think the last time that did happen, where a separate division was added outside of the 3 divisions of basketball and volleyball. But girls softball previously, that started with 1 division for a few years, really exploded, and eventually went to A and B, and has just continued to explode. So very, very exciting things there in both those worlds.
How many teams right now?
With wrestling, well, the threshold was once there got to be at least 12 girls B teams that could have their own dual team. That was kind of the measuring stick. And with you have pretty good analytics with the weight management program, and every girl's entered in there. And the thought is that would be a minimum of 13 dual teams this year that could field a dual team. And the thought with the board was if we're going to split for duals, it would only make sense to do it for the individual tournament as well next year. And, that may mean maybe not quite full weight classes for a year or two to allow it to grow, but pretty confident it will be there, if not next year, very soon after.
Yeah, that was my next question. Do you continue the growth?
I think so. Yeah, it's just been the thought with it, particularly on the B side, is now that they have their own division, there maybe get a few of those girls on the fence that probably more so in the western side of the state, where Bismarck's just a powerhouse right now in girls wrestling, as they have been for generations on the boys side, and the new B programs emerging, going up against them, and the thought maybe this will help grow the B on the west side of the state, where the east side, the B, like we were talking about South Border earlier, just so many traditional wrestling communities where they haven't really had trouble competing with the A teams. In fact, the biggest concern in all of this is at the A level, the number of teams in the Eastern Dakota Conference next year, maybe at 4 or 5 dual teams, and 4 of them will go to state. So it may not be a real dramatic region dual tournament on the A side, but there's actually more B teams in the east side. Just a lot of, again, tradition and growth.
How does that affect wrestling officials and the number you have?
The way they work it shouldn't have a major impact. They can deal with that with scheduling. For example, like Paul said earlier, the individual dual tournaments for the girls currently are held on Friday. Boys are on Saturday. They share venues, a lot of times share officials. So there are some creative ways to go about it and make it work. But that, fortunately, is one thing at this time that's not a concern, is having enough officials to cover the postseason.
Mm-hmm. How about states around North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, girls wrestling?
Yes.
So they can go across the border and maybe
can.
wrestle some of those teams?
Yeah, and again, we look at bordering states, we're probably for sure ahead of them a little bit in our growth. They're, probably a year or two behind us with some of that, but I think that'll only continue to grow. And again, it all just leads to in the bigger picture, more growth and more sustainability.
Well, wrestling and basketball tournaments are coming up. Your favorite time of the year, I know that. State tournament time. Where and when are the state wrestling tournaments first?
State wrestling for, it's been quite a few years now, over a decade now. The Fargo Dome's been used to be semi-permanent home, and now I can safe to say it's permanent. Just well-oiled machine there. Adapted. I look back to the 2021 when we were, I think, one of maybe just a couple states that had a state wrestling tournament that year as the COVID pandemic was going on. Easy to transition there to the 12-mat format that was used, and maybe not ideal for fans, but spread out mats over 100 yards there along the sideline. This year will have a little bit new look. We'll have 9 mats for the first time. They've been an 8-mat setup here for years now, and the 9th mat, again, just speaks to the growth of girls, where it just helps keep everything run on time a little bit with that one extra mat. So something that'll be a little different, but again, the fans won't notice much of a difference. And then with the addition of the girls' divisions next year, it's highly likely it'll be a 12-mat format, not like the COVID setup where we're spread out, but more of the square, just a little more spread out, but still the fans will be nice and close to if they're in the front row, they'll be close to a mat. So a lot of excitement, but again, we're facility rich in our state, and just very, very fortunate that we have those options, particularly at the Fargo Dome and wrestling. And
Fargo's always such a gracious host as well. They have all the motels, the eating places, and they love going to Fargo.
They do, yeah. It's it's incredible if you look over time. The attendance of that event has it's slowly grown with the addition of the girls, but you just the tradition there, and there's a lot of people that have been there 50 plus straight years, and it's just it's their vacation, where every year they're going to go to the state wrestling tournament and be part of that, and just fun to see those same faces year after year.
And grandma and grandpas and other relatives migrate to Fargo anyway, so you got everybody there, so it makes it nice. How about dates and locations for the state basketball tournament?
Yeah, basketball, a lot of the same venues at the state level. The big switch this year on the girls' side, for the first 2 years of the 3-division basketball, the B girls were in Jamestown. A girls, as Valley City fans are aware, have been up in Minot. That flip-flops this year, so the A will be over in Jamestown. right down the road here, and the B will be up in Minot. That was all when the plan was approved. The thought was we'll do 2 years here, 2 years there, flip, and it's all an experiment, but just see what works best for everyone involved. So this year and next year, that A girls tournament will be in Jamestown, and then Double A still, as it did previously, rotates between Bismarck and Fargo. So this year the Double A will be that following weekend out in Bismarck. And then the final weekend with the 2 boys tournaments, again, will be Minot. This year, Fargo for the A. So right now it's kind of a Fargo-Bismarck rotation at the A level. The B has been up in Minot. Next year, the B will go to Bismarck for the first time in the 3-division format. But it's a lot of the same places, maybe just different fan base there. And then the biggest changes probably are more at the regional level, where there's some new sites. Valley City State would be one example, where they have a B boys regional and the A girls regional this year. We run into, as our universities get more and more into the Division I era, some people probably aren't aware, but UND's NCHC conference in hockey has a different playoff format this year. So instead of 2 weekends where your higher seed hosts one weekend, then they all go to St. Paul for the Frozen Four. I can't remember what they called it. It used to be the Final Five when I was following. But now they go 3 weekends, and the higher seed hosts all 3 weekends. So, what that does with the success of UND's program is really it takes the Betty out of the equation as a basketball host for us, because they're planning to be hosting hockey 3 weekends there. And, when they plan, they can't assume they won't be hosting, so it makes it difficult on our end. But that's more of a minimum impact on us compared to other states, because the Big Ten Conference done the same thing. So Wisconsin, for example, because of that, they lose the Kohl Center as their boys basketball site, which is the only venue big enough to host it. So it's led to probably a lot more obstacles in other states. But again, being venue rich like we are, we have other options. So you're probably seeing that to some degree more at the region level here. Same with Shack. There's during girls basketball region tournaments, NDSU's still kind of in the thick of their conference season. I think they actually play SDSU during that tournament this year, which will probably be a huge game, obviously. And so I think Valley City State University, like many other, in all honesty, they're kind of experiments where we think it can fit here, think it can be a great atmosphere, and if that's proven to be true, it'd probably be a place that continues to host year after year.
And this is a question for Paul too. How about VCSU and the bubble? Usually a tournament there. Will that be ready by tournament time?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yep. From what we're told, it is. But
Okay.
like everything we do, there's contingency plans in place. So.
Anything new for us to watch in the tournaments this year, during the tournaments?
Boy, that's a great question. As far as the casual fan, there's probably nothing that really sticks out as far as major rule changes, anything like that. I think anything that is different are probably things the regular fan wouldn't really notice. They turn on state hockey weekend. There's a game on. They don't, to them, probably can't even tell if it's at Ralph Engelstad Arena or Shields Arena, wherever it is. But again, like so many things, there's experiments year after year. Hockey would be one example. Last year, for the first time, experimented with a 4-day tournament up in Grand Forks. There were just some logistical issues, really a lot to do with television and making it possible to televise all the games. And this year in Fargo, that's not an issue with the setup at Shields Arena and the Farmers Union Insurance rink next door. So this year back to what we'll call the normal schedule. But it's just, again, the experiments have paid off, and the less change, the better, I guess, because it means things are working.
Yeah, exactly. Don't change it when it works, right?
Yep.
What about past teams being honored? Who are the teams this year?
Yeah, you put me on the spot here, but we always honor the 50-year reunion teams and the 25-year reunion teams that are basically any of our tournaments that are televised, but basketball's been kind of the longest standing one, hockey as well. Hockey's easy because Central won it about 20 years in a row when hockey started, so they have the 50-year reunion every year. I think they do for the 25 as well. Next year at hockey will be a huge one. We'll be up in Grand Forks, and the 50-year reunion will be the memorable 77 championship game that ended in a 1-1 tie after 8 overtimes. Grand Forks Central, Grand Forks Red River. They just called it and crowned co-champions, so that'll be a 50-year anniversary next year. I know this year on the girls basketball side, last year was the first year we had. It was the 50th anniversary of the start of girls basketball in North Dakota. So this will be our second 50-year reunion team, and this year some local flavor. Cheryl Solberg's Mayport Patriots won the state girls tournament 50 years ago, so they'll be honored. They're doing their ceremony over in Jamestown this year in conjunction with the A tournament, so they'll be coming up. Well, I know the 50-year reunion, I just saw an email yesterday, is a group out of Williston, and I think they're planning to get the crew together and celebrate there. So it's it reminds me each year, not only the white hair when I look in the mirror, but when you're starting to remember the reunion teams pretty vividly and watching them, but it's always fun to see those folks.
It is a special touch to the tournament.
Yeah.
Brings people back too, and it's kind of like a reunion for a lot of people. Good thing that Grand Forks did call that game in a tie. They'd probably still be playing it.
Yeah, very well could be.
Or
Yeah.
they could have gone into graduation and,
Yeah.
hey, you're not eligible anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, with the 2025 fall sports season in the books, will we see any teams move up or down for next year?
Yeah, next year should be not much change at all. So football that's kind of the unique animal that every 2 years they're reclassified. So year one was last year of the 2-year plan. So next year it'll basically flip home and away and should be very similar. And then next November, usually right around Dakota Bowl, is when the board of directors finalizes the plan for the following 2 years. So if you ask me that a year from now, I'll have a lot better answer. But it's a pretty sophisticated system with they use male enrollment, so it's projecting how many boys you'll have in high school 2 years from now. They use free and reduced lunch rates or poverty because there's a lot of data. Really, the only data that shows anything in contact sports as far as success and participation is the free and reduced lunch rate. That's really the only data they can find that correlates, and it's been used now for probably about a generation in our state to help develop the football plan and serves that pretty well. So, next fall will be very minimal, and then the following year probably be a little movement, but as far as what all that looks like, they really won't make those decisions till next fall.
I'm going to flip back to basketball again. 3-class system. What's the general feeling? What kind of feel are you getting right now?
Yeah, I think the general feeling, no matter who you talk to or what division they're in, is I just heard it yesterday in a couple random phone calls where we weren't even talking about it, but at the end it comes up about tournaments upcoming where, we have a chance where, maybe our boys aren't even, it's not one of the better teams we've had, but just the way it might shake out, we match up well, we got a chance to be there and maybe get to a state qualifier and get to that one game, winner take all, and move on to states. And you hear that more and more where you look at you look at the 2-division system, 2-class system. Just look at Region 1 boys right now. You got, Kindred, Central Cass, Lisbon having a great year there. All would have been in the same region. And in all honesty, might have been all ranked in the top 5. And, you went through that in high school, and it's just kind of how it was, where only one team could come out, and there were a lot of years the state championship was played on a Thursday night in the region final somewhere, and so I think that's probably been the biggest impact on everyone. Again, whether AA level or A or B, that's probably what resonates and what I hear the most.
Okay.
I've got a couple of questions, but the first one is going to piggyback on what you just said about the state qualifying game. It now makes that third place game mean something. Before it was, oh, by the way, you get third place. How has that impacted just the way the tournaments are run now? You get that, even if you lose in that semifinal, you still have a chance to get to the state tournament.
Yeah, I think it's been incredible. It's been, when I started, like I talk about 16 years, I remember there used to be agenda items for Class B basketball to get rid of the third place game because it was, you just had a heartbreaking loss in a semifinal and coming back, and 2 philosophies, one more chance to play with your friends and one more game, and others, we didn't accomplish our goal. We don't want to be here. And
right.
And there were some issues with that game throughout the years, and sometimes turn into a farce in some places. And I know right before I came here to Valley City, the office, I think the board was involved in a few of those issues as they popped up. So that's totally gone away. That never obviously gets talked about anymore. It's just, what I've, just as a casual observer, it's maybe hurt attendance days 1 and 2, because it's not you lose, you go home. And if we make it to Thursday, then we'll go over whether it's third place or championship. Maybe help the crowds on Thursday, but that's just, kind of the nature of the beast. But I think it's something that has been very positive, not only the state qualifier games, but having those third place games matter. And it's, you look back, I think I should have looked this up before I came over here, but I think the last in the B boys, which is, the one probably with the most eyeballs at the end of the winter there, I think the last 2 state champs didn't win their region tournament and came back through that state qualifier game. So it's just something that, again, has been overwhelmingly positive, but it just, there's a lot of basketball going on in a short amount of time, but a lot of people eat it up.
It makes the teams play the whole tournament.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, because I think Benson County beat Maple Valley or Maple River in the state qualifier, and then they went on to win the state championship in girls basketball last year. The other question I had, you're talking about how venue rich North Dakota is, and not just basketball, but in hockey, you've got a lot of great venues. Baseball, you got some tremendous venues, and so you have so many venues in all these sports. What kind of goes into just saying who's going to host what, because I know for years back in the 80s and early 90s when I was early in the radio, they said, let's just have the state be in Minot, let's have state in Bismarck, and we're done. Just always there. But what kind of goes into that when you have so many great venues to work with?
Yeah, at the state level, it's really, we have what we call a combined tournament committee. It's made up of all our state tournament managers who are primarily our AA ADs at their local school. We've in the past had arena managers on there as well. There's also a few board members there, but they meet twice a year, and they recommend at the request of the venues, we actually go out 7 years with how far we schedule these tournaments and sites. And again, that was at their request. So if they know they don't have state basketball this weekend, they have a boat show or whatever else, and they're filling up the facility there. But the combined tournament committee really makes those recommendations, and they work very well together, whether they're from Fargo, Bismarck, Minot, Grand Forks, and kind of what fits best. I think, like I talked about earlier, we're kind of in a bit of a rotation, especially with our winter tournaments. Hockey, we're predicated on UND's schedule. So they have a rule in their league that the last 2 weekends of the year of regular season, which usually falls during our state hockey, you're home one of those weekends and away one of those weekends. So it really means every other year the Ralph's available for us. And then the years it's not, we're at Shields Arena. Fargo Force are great about working around our schedule and allowing us to be there. And so again, at the state level, it's really that group, and ultimately the board approves it, but it's 99% of the time what comes out of there. And then at the sub-state level, when you're talking region tournaments, Class B or Division B, for example, the district chairs, their district schools make a recommendation where we want the region tournament here. If both districts agree, it makes it pretty easy. If they don't, then they have a tournament committee that goes through and looks at who wanted to host, who bid on it, and then they make a decision there. And again, that ultimately, particularly with the 3 divisions, and in all honesty, the regions are twice as big geographically as they were before. It makes sense in some cases to rotate, where we're kind of in a Jamestown, Valley City rotation down in this part of the state. Mayville and Devils Lake are kind of worked out a rotation up in the Northeast, and it's just we'll get there, but we're getting closer. And again, it makes it easier when you have options. So.
Cool, very good. We're going to move on to today in sports. See if you remember any of these.
All right.
1969 on this day, Chuck Noll is named coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, youngest coach in NFL history at the time. They named another. Have they named a coach yet?
For the Steelers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy, former
that's right.
Packer,
Yeah,
former
Mike
Cowboy.
yeah,
so
that's
Aaron
right.
Rodgers gets to be buddied up with Mike McCarthy.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It's not going to happen. I don't think they got along too well. But it's interesting. 69, Chuck Noll, the coach. 1970, NFL draft. LSU or Louisiana Tech quarterback Terry Bradshaw, number 1 pick by the Steelers. And then begins the domination. 1973, UCLA's basketball team wins 61st consecutive game. Still an NCAA record, I believe.
I think it got to 88 is
Sounds
what it
right.
did. And then
Yeah.
Houston, at the Houston Astrodome, Elvin Hayes and the Houston Cougars beat
Yeah.
them to end the streak.
On this day, 1982, Philadelphia Phillies trade shortstop Larry Boa and infielder Ryne Sandberg to the Chicago Cubs for second baseman Ivan DeJesus. Let's see who turned out better on that one.
Well, Ivan was a pretty good player,
He
but
wasn't too bad, but Ryne Sandberg wasn't too shabby.
no.
And Larry Boa wasn't too bad either. 1989, Detroit Red Wings center Steve Yzerman becomes the 4th NHL player to record 100 points in 50 games or less with a goal and 2 assists as the Red Wings beat Toronto 8-1. And 91, Super Bowl 25. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Giants beat the Buffalo Bills 20-19 on that crazy catch. Okay, Otis Anderson was the MVP.
Was that the missed field goal by Scott Norwood?
Yep.
Yeah,
At the end.
Whitney Houston anthem.
It was the controversial anthem.
Yeah, that's right. Whew. Those years kind of float by, don't they?
They do.
Sports birthdays today, 1901. Art Rooney was born. Of course, Steelers team founder, Pirates team founder, owner, chairman, did everything else. I think he even cleaned windows. 1950, is that still owned by the Rooney family?
I
think
so.
it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
1952, Billy White Shoes Johnson was born. Receiver, return specialist. Houston Oilers, Atlanta Falcons. And 59, here's a name we all know. Listen to him in just about every week during the football season. Chris Collinsworth was born in 1959. Broadcaster, NBC and Fox. You're giving me that funny look.
Not a fan,
Okay.
but that's another story.
I don't like
Liked him as a football
how
player.
How do you get that job?
He does know his stuff.
He does.
He does.
Other birthdays. Here's another name I think we'll all know. Keith Olbermann is 66 today. Mozart was born on this day, 1756. You know, he died.
Boy,
at,
you really dig into
really.
that.
He
For
died at
Amadeus.
age 35, believe it or not. Here's a name we all know, North Dakota's own, Ed Schultz. Born on this day in 1954, passed away at 71 in 2018. I got to call the game. I was doing sports in Bemidji in the late 70s, and Bemidji State, and of course Moorhead State in the NIC at that time. And I got to call a game with Eddie Schultz, which was kind of fun to watch. He was a good quarterback in college at Moorhead State.
And he started in Virginia, is where he's from. He had a military father.
Okay.
Went to VMI, went to Richmond, then eventually ended up at Moorhead State. And of course, Ross Forchie loved the veer, but now he's got this, pocket passer. It's like, well, I guess we're going to have to change things a little bit. Did play, I think, did get some with
Some
the
looks.
Packers and Raiders. He did get some training camp looks back in 77, 78. Right out of college. I got to call several games with Ed at WDAY when I first started in radio.
Nice.
He and I did high school football together for 2 years.
And you worked for him, right? You did.
Yeah,
Kind
absolutely.
of worked for him.
Yeah,
He was
He was my boss.
he was the go-to guy for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, that's cool. Did a lot of hunting in the Valley City area in the fall with our owner Bob Ingstead. Many times, so we have many stories. I can't. There's one that stands out that I better not.
You better
say
not.
anything
Yeah.
about. And another birthday today. Mimi Rogers is 69. Actress Mimi Rogers.
She was married to Tom Cruise at one time.
She was.
Yeah, she was.
I missed that one. Okay. Joke of the day. I didn't get the granddaughters on this one, but I did get a guy at Alley Beans earlier. He says, "Hey Tim, I got a joke for you." Here we go.
Well, at least it was at a coffee shop.
That's right. What do you call a bunny with fleas? What do you call a bunny with fleas? No answer on that one? Bugs Bunny.
Okay, don't know why you didn't see that one coming.
That hit you on the side of the head. Ouch.
Oy vey.
Bugs Bunny. Huh?
Bugs Bunny.
Bunny with fleas. Thank you. Guy at Alley Beans.
An anonymous source.
Anonymous source.
Anonymous
yeah,
source,
yeah.
yes.
All right. And that's all we have this week for Toast and Jam. I'd like to thank our guest, Matt Fetsch, North Dakota High School Activities Association. You do a great job, and we appreciate all the things you do.
Hey,
By the way,
appreciate
are you the tiebreaker in that thing? When there's a vote, are you the tiebreaker?
No, I'm a non-voting.
Non-voting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a esteemed guest at board meetings. So,
Steamed or esteemed?
yeah, depends on the day. So.
Paul, any final thoughts?
Just again, a reminder for Viking basketball coming up this weekend. We'll be down at WAP Science. Hey, Trevor going to be around? Maybe you can come over and say hi.
I'm sure they practice 7 days a week.
Down at WAP Science again at Ed Wary Arena, the Claire Blickery Activities Center. Love that place. And that will be 5 and 7 against Dakota State on Friday. Then Saturday, Bellevue and Valley City State will be up at the Memorial Auditorium at Concordia College. That'll be 3 and 5 on Saturday. So, again, I have to step on the floor at Cobberville, being an ex-Dragon. I'm surprised my feet didn't burn, but I was okay. Great venue, though. I used to call that the mini barn. It reminded me of Williams Arena because of their old wooden bleachers or the seats that they have that are painted maroon and gold. And it's a great venue. Not a bad seat in the house in that place. Saw a lot of Minnesota basketball in that venue
I bet you
over
did.
the years. Yeah.
Where can we catch Toast and Jam? One more time.
And you bet. Apple Podcast, at Spotify, VCSU YouTube page. Also on our social medias for VCSU, you can get kind of glimpses and just little clips here and there. Toastandjam.com. And just remember, subscribe. When you go to those locales, if there's a subscribe button, it's free. Just click on it and subscribe to it. We love getting the subscriptions. And then when you get a new episode that drops, you will be alerted of that, and you can enjoy it in the comfort of your own home.
I do want to thank our engineer today, Mark Potts. Thank you so much. Toast and Jam presented by Valley City State University. We're broadcasting from the Road Science Center, and we do thank them as well. I'm Tim Ost. He's Paul McDonald. Toast and Jam saying bye-bye for now. Have a safe and memorable week.